Hi, this is Jeff, and I am going to play Civilization 5 with the Korean Empire on Deity. And I've actually already played this. I played it last night, and I am narrating it now. So I already know that I won this one, and I'm going to show how I won it. It is extremely difficult to win a game of Civilization on Deity. For me, this is the easiest way to do it. And I was lucky in that my settler spawned right next to a mountain, because that's going to be very important going forward. I also want to make sure that I have all the icons up, the resource icons, the yield icons, and the grid. Visually, it's not going to be very interesting for all of you to watch, but when it comes to playing the game, it just makes it easier to know all the information that you're going to be dealing with. The mountain is important because later on we are going to need to build an observatory, which will give our capital a 50% increase in science. And this is going to be a science victory. Every time I've beaten Civilization 5 on Deity, it was with a science victory. I don't know why, it just always seemed like the easiest way. I'm not going to do a lot of commentary. I'm not a big commentary guy. More than anything, I just kind of want to let the gameplay speak for itself. This is the beginning, so I'm trying to get some scouts out there to look around. But I decided to, when I have enough culture built up, I'm going to go to the traditional I'm going to use the tradition perk. And so because I'm going to use the tradition perk, I'm going to need a worker. Social policy, that's what it's called. If I did a liberty social policy, I would not have built a worker. I just would have built either a monument or a granary or another warrior or another scout, probably just another scout. Brussels. I don't remember if I built a relationship with them or not. Probably not. I'm not very diplomatic in this game. Oh, good. I like it when I start off with plus 13 in my culture. Gets things moving a little bit quicker. I got interrupted last night many times while I was playing this, so there'll probably be a few very long breaks where I'm not doing anything, but shouldn't last too long, maybe 10 to 15 seconds. Got my worker. I can start building farms. I try and build farms, especially on rivers, as soon as possible. And I want to protect my worker with a warrior. Here I decided to build a warrior because it's going to take 4 turns, and I will have the riding technology in 4 turns. I want to sync those up as best I can. In this situation, they synced up perfectly, which was nice. When I'm going for a science victory on Deity, there's really only 2 world wonders that I even try to build. And that is the Great Library here at the beginning. And if I can, I hope I'm pronouncing this right, the Porcelain Tower. If I can get those 2, it really helps in a science victory. At this point, I'm playing this on continents. I'm not playing Pangea. I don't normally play Pangea. And in this situation, it looks like I may be on this continent all by myself. It looks like there's 1 or 2 city-states, but there's no other civilizations here. The one civilization I have come across, which is Gandhi, I just looked up there in the corner. It looks like he is on another continent. We just happened to see each other across the channel. But that is important because I like to save. I'll get back to that in a second. Just real quick, I want to mention I like to save the game before I start building a world wonder, because if I don't make it, if somebody else gets it before me, I like to go back to where I saved and try and build something else. You can't waste any time on Deity. You can't waste turns on things that are not productive. Everything has to have a purpose. But anyways, back to what I was saying about there being no other civilizations on this continent with me. That's important because that means there is a very low chance that I will end up going to war against anyone. In this game, other countries tend to go to war against you if you are on their land or land that they consider to be theirs, if they feel like you are settling into their territory. They go to war if they think you're an easy target, and if you have bad blood between you. But because I'm on a continent all by myself, I tend to have good relations with the other civilizations by the time I find them. The only wild card to that is Gandhi, but Gandhi is not an aggressive civilization, so I'm not too worried about him. And the good news about that is that I don't have to spend a lot of time building military units. In fact, I probably won't build any military units in this game. I don't remember if I did or not, but I remember thinking I had a very low chance of going to war against anyone. Which came as a big relief to me. I hate going to war in this game. It is a very long process going to war, and I just don't have the patience for it. This game already takes a long time to beat. It took me 4 hours. If I had to go to war, it'd probably be 7 or 8. I get a little worried every time I get a notification that a world wonder has been built. Every time that little chime goes off, I think it's my world wonder. This is one of those moments I was talking about where I got interrupted. Jeez, it's lasting longer than I thought. At the time, I don't think I was away for that long, but looking back, I guess it did take a while. I don't remember what it was. Telephone rang or something. Gandhi has entered the classical era. If you're watching this, I assume you know how civilization works, but just in case you don't, the reason Deity is such a difficult level to play on is because all the other civilizations start off way ahead of you. I think they start off with 4 to 5 more technologies than you do. And some of them have more cities right off the bat. They're well-established civilizations, and you're starting off in the Stone Age. So it's a game of catch-up, and it's a very difficult game of catch-up. It's kind of frustrating because you'll be going along. You can see the date in the upper right-hand corner, and you'll be playing, and you think you're doing great because you have tanks at year 1700. So you think, hey, you know, my civilization's doing great. And then the very next turn, you've lost because somebody else just built a spaceship. They're just that far ahead of you. Looks like I was trying to become friends with Quebec City. Normally I just keep the workers. Saves me the trouble of having to build them myself. Don't think I ever did anything with that alliance, though. I think I just sort of let it fizzle out and die. It's important in this game to be flexible. Right off the bat, I started off as the Koreans, so I wanted to go for a science victory because the Koreans have a science perk. But, you know, you kind of have to leave yourself open to other options. If I spawned somewhere that was not a mountain nearby, if I spawned in an area where there was a lot of stones and marble, maybe I'd try and go a different route, and more of an economic route. I say that because looked like I was trying to start a relationship with Quebec over there, even though I'm not going for a diplomatic victory. It still pays to plant the seeds of an alliance that could come to fruition later. So I built the Great Library, which gives me a free technology and also a +3 in science. That +3 in science is very helpful at the beginning of the game, when you don't have that much science to begin with. And I normally use my free technology to pick up philosophy, which gets me into the classical era, and I can start building the National College. The National College will increase my science output by 50%, which will help me progress even faster. I'm going to go straight for education, because I want to build that porcelain tower. I'm 90% sure that I am pronouncing that world wonder incorrectly. So I apologize if that's the case. And here come the barbarians. Barbarians are easier to fight because they don't heal, they don't upgrade, and they really can't attack your cities. They just kind of come in and harass you. But you still want to wipe them out because you don't want them to pillage any luxury resources, your farms, or any of your mines, because you need those productions. If I have time, I try and build the Oracle. Somebody already beat me to it, but the Oracle gives you points towards creating a great scientist. And I like to have as many great scientists as I can get. They come in handy towards the end of the game. And they're really great for the Koreans because if you build a science tile with your great scientist, the Koreans actually get 2 extra science points, more than the other civilizations do. So they're very good to have. And especially after I finish building the National College, and because I'm near a mountain, I'm going to have an observatory, so I will altogether that my capital city is going to produce 100% more science. So that science tile from a great scientist, its typical output is 6, but because I'm Korean, the output will be 8, and then with the observatory and the National College, it'll really be 16. And then that goes up again after you research, can't remember the name of the technology, but it's the one where you can build a public school. When you research that technology, those tiles produce 2 more points again, so then it goes up to 20 per tile. So it really builds up. So I'm almost done building my National College. I am now going to look into expanding. You can't build the National College unless all of your cities have a library. I decided not to build other cities because that would just make it take that much longer to build a National College. And because I'm on this island all by myself, I don't need to worry about competition eating up all the land. So I can take my time, and now that the National College is finished, I'm going to build a settler. And I like this area over here. It's by a river. There's a bunch of ivory, a bunch of food. It's a good place. And I have barbarians coming all around, so I'm going to bring all my military units back to my city and protect it. They always seem to come at the worst time. Speaking of worst time, okay, here we go. Looks like I got called away again. I really have nowhere to go with this. This is what upsets me, because this barbarian spearman can kill my warrior here. Damn it. I was kind of hoping he would just go away. Oh, but it looks like I survived. That's good. Hopefully I can upgrade, but I can't. Crap. What did I do? Oh yeah, I remember this. Again, I didn't have anywhere to go. I was somewhat confident, though, that this barbarian wasn't going to attack me. He was so low in health himself. I thought I could get away and heal up. But nope, he decides to attack me anyways. But my warrior knocked him out. And that's just luck. And, you know, I didn't plan that. I was just fortunate to be able to survive that. And that happens in this game. A lot of times, whether you win or lose, comes down to the luck of certain battles. Here I changed things up because I can tell this barbarian is going to kidnap my worker. I'll be able to kill him once he does, but I won't be able to get my worker back. So I'm switching up my production. I'm going to get a scout. So as soon as this guy takes my worker, I'll just kill him with my city. And then I will use my scout to retake my worker. Boom, just like that. Yeah, now it looks like the threat is gone, so I'm going to start building my other cities. It's important to get a granary pretty early in the game. I normally like to build a granary before all of this to really get my city going. But it became more expedient to get other things produced first. Man, these barbarians just keep on coming. I probably should have done the honor perk or social policy. If I had known this many barbarians would be attacking me over and over, I probably would have. But you know, whatever. Finally building another city. When I played this game on other difficulty levels, once I try and build a second city as soon as possible, and depending on the surrounding environment, I will use one of those cities to build up my military. More than likely my capital, but if my capital starts off like this one does by a mountain, then I typically will make that my science city. And then I will use my second city to build military units. But since I am on this island all by myself, I'm not going to worry about military. And I'm just going to build up my population and my science. Happiness is another resource that comes into play as you're expanding. It's difficult to expand unless you get into the piety, the social policy. Because with piety, you get happiness every time you build a religious building, and there's a lot of religious buildings towards the beginning of the game. I'm not going to have time for that though. On Deity, you have time for 2 social policies. Really just 1.5. And because this is a science victory, I'm going to do the tradition social policy, and then I'm going to do the scientific social policy. Because I'm going to need, when you adopt the scientific social policy, you get 50% more science from your research agreements, and I'm going to need that. So I can upgrade this spearman to a pikeman. When I am building up my military on other games, I try and build as many spearmen as I can and then upgrade them to pikemen. Just because I never know if I'm going to have iron or not. You don't need iron to build pikemen, but you do need it to build swordsmen. And even though the swordsman comes earlier, I just don't know if I'm ever going to have iron. And even then, am I going to have enough? Sometimes a source of iron will pop up and it will only give me two quantity. So I can only build 2 spearmen or 2 catapults and can't really do much with that. But with pikemen, I can build as many as I want. It's really awesome if you're the Germans, because the Germans can build it for super cheap. And they don't call them pikemen, they call them something else. Another word that I'm totally going to butcher if I try and pronounce, so I'm not going to try. Now that I have a pikeman, I really want to go down there and destroy that barbarian encampment, but they're still a little too strong. I'm going to need 2 pikemen in order to do that. And apparently I had other interests. I was very sure I was going to build another pikeman there. I guess I'm looking for more happiness. Seems odd. I already have 13. Golden Ages. I like to put all my cities on a gold focus during my golden age. I changed that one back because it didn't matter. I put it on golden focus and everything was pretty much the same. So at that point, it's more important to just build up your population as best you can. I built this city here because, again, it's on a river. There's some wheat nearby, lots of food, lots of mountains where I can build mines, so I can do production and food. It's a good mix. No luxury resources, but I think I'm all out of luxury resources on this island. I have all that I'm gonna get, so. Ooh. Oh, I attacked him anyways. Didn't think I was gonna do that without a clear victory. Yeah, should probably bring my other warrior over just in case. I generally always upgrade my military units. I don't typically heal them. Or I don't instantaneously heal them. I upgrade them and then let them heal naturally. The only time I don't do that is if I am in the middle of a war and I'm invading somebody else's territory and I'm just minutes away from taking one of their cities, something like that. My first research agreement. I've got the money, I have the friendship, the relationship. Why not? Typically when you're on a continent by yourself, you don't get to do research agreements this early in the game, which is a disadvantage. It's an advantage because you're not going to go to war against anyone. No one's really going to bother you, but you also have no one to trade with, so it hinders you at the same time. The other bad part about Korea is you can't sail the oceans until later on in the game. The other civilizations have a boat that can go across the oceans, but the Koreans have a special unit, and it's stronger than, I want to call it a caravel? A caravel? I've never had to say these words out loud before. I've just read them on the screen. Wow, I'm kind of embarrassed now. I never didn't really think about it until just now. Porcelain Tower, maybe? In any case, and like before, I'm going to go ahead and save the game, just in case somebody beats me to it. Gonna build some mines. Astronomy. Yeah, the Koreans have a ship called a turtle ship, and it's very tough, but it stays around the coast, so you can't explore the map with it, especially if you're on continents or on islands. So you have to wait. But typically what happens on Deity is all the other civilizations find you first. And that's what happened here, long before I was able to build a frigate. Almost all the other civilizations had already discovered me, and I was able to start trading with them. Another barbarian. Okay. It looks like I'm finally going to be able to kill these guys. No, maybe on the next one. They're still a little too tough. Oh man, they didn't take as much damage as I thought. And they spawned a pikeman. Well, I could go ahead and kill these guys, but I am not going to last long. It'll be worth it to take out the encampment, then they'll stop respawning and invading my territory. And lucky me, they didn't attack me for some reason. I want to get to astronomy technology as soon as possible, not only so I can build the observatory on the mountain and get a higher science output, but it will also put me in the Renaissance age, and once I'm in the Renaissance age, that's when I can starting social policies in the scientific branch. Otherwise, I'm going to have to waste a social policy on something else. And you know, again, you just can't waste any opportunities here. You have to be efficient. And looks like I didn't build the tower in time. I know I talked about not wasting opportunities, but I only put about 5 turns into building that tower, so I'm not going to go back and restart the game from that point. I'm just going to keep on going. It's not going to be a huge disadvantage. Now, if I had dedicated 20 turns to getting that porcelain tower and then not achieving it, then I probably would go back and just restart the game from my save point and build something else. Where to go? Well, there's another mountain, so I have a chance to build another science city over there. I don't think I did that though. I'm trying to remember what I did here. I am building another settler. Oh, I remember what happened. I remember what I should have done. We'll talk about that in a second. You see a lot of your mistakes when you rewatch the old footage. They were not costly mistakes, but they were mistakes. And I called them mistakes, but they're only mistakes because I know what's going to happen. In the context of what I knew at the time, I made very few mistakes in this game. You see down here in the corner, there is some dyes, and the dyes are a luxury resource. So I'm going to build a city next to them. Again, I assume that you know about luxury resources, but in case you don't, the luxury resource will give you a +4 in your happiness, and starting a new city will cost you 4 in happiness. So if you build your city next to a luxury resource, it kind of cancels out the penalty for building a new city. And the Japanese. So I'm starting to meet other civilizations. I only have 1 ivory, but I'm going to go ahead and start trading it with him because I am starting to work my other ivory tiles. I'm going to have more ivory any second now. So go ahead and trade with him now while I still can. Then I'll work the ivory later and get a +4 happiness from them. I also traded. There's really no point in him giving me open borders. That's why I traded him some gold for my open borders. I don't have a scout. I don't have the ability to scout out his territory. So I go ahead and make the deal, but I get a little bit of money on the side and start building relations with that other civilization. And, 30 gold, it's not a lot, but when you get to know all the other civilizations, there's 7 of them. You do that with all of them, that's 200. That's a whole nother research agreement deal that you can make. So, very important. I did miss my opportunity. I didn't get the porcelain tower, so I'm not going to get that plus 50% from my research agreements. That's going to hurt. I win this game pretty easily if I have the porcelain tower and the scientific social policy. Because when those research agreements start coming in, I'm gaining 2 to 3 new technologies each time, and I just start blowing past everyone. Without it, it's going to make it a little bit more difficult, but still possible. I only have 1 happiness now, but I'm still building that ivory tile over here on the left side. Once I get that, that'll give me 4, and then once I send my worker down to my new city to work the dyes, that it will give me another 4. I could have built the city right on the luxury resource. That would have instantaneously given me the happiness. I decided not to do it in this case. That would have left me in a position where I wouldn't be able to work the other tiles as efficiently. And it's not expedient that I have all of my happiness right now. I know it's coming, that's all that matters. The island is starting to take form. I really should have done that a lot sooner than 200 AD. Gonna do the same thing here. Do research agreements with Harun al-Rashid, and I'm going to give him my 1 piece of ivory, and then I'm just going to work another ivory tile, and that'll give me some more happiness. And I'm going to go ahead and take a break here. I can only record for 1 hour at a time, so I'm wrapping up the first... Oh, I got a great scientist. Go ahead and get him into position. My first great scientist of the game. I use my great scientists at this point. I don't try saving them until after I'm building public schools. Until then, I'm going to build a science tile with them and really take advantage of all those extra science points that they give me. So anyways, I'm going to go ahead and save it, and I will come back for part 2.